Hello, YouTube. Hello. Say hello, chat. You're on candid camera. Hello, YouTube. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing well, folks. Today is the second video in our vaunted series on the EXILEVERSE as we rebuild Warhammer 40,000 brick by brick from the ground up. And today we are doing the Dark Angels, the First Legion. We're going to go right the way through all of their history from start to finish. You will be hearing, if you're on YouTube, me talking to chat and reading out their suggestions. And on each of these questions, we have 10 questions to answer that will build the Dark Angels Legion and chapter in the EXILEVERSE, right? And on each of these, we will be doing a poll on our lovely chat here to make sure that their opinions are being respected as we go through the EXILEVERSE and we get this sorted out. Right, okay. So, last week we did the Emperor, and we sorted out a few things with the Emperor, one of which really does affect us early on in this retelling, is that the Emperor got rid of the Primarchs from Terra on purpose, okay? So, the Primarch's mother doesn't scatter them across the universe because that's a bit silly, and the Chaos Powers don't do it either. The Emperor knows from Old Night and the Golden Age of technology that there are certain words out there that he needs to, conquer ahead of time. He needs them to come over to his side. So he makes sure that he sends a godlike being to each with his own genetic code that's hardwired to be loyal to him to each of these worlds to secure them for his coming Imperium. Yeah? Alright. Well, if that's the case, the Emperor sends the Lion to Caliban, according to our last video, right? He sends him over there. But why does he send him to Caliban? Why does the Emperor send Lionel Johnson's capsule to Caliban? What is there for him to hold in check? In the actual lore, we know that on Caliban there is a sort of sickening soul to Caliban, like this cancerous tumour at its heart, which is essentially a load of portals and other things leading to chaos and the warp that's infecting the planet. Are we changing that? Or are we keeping it the same? That's something to think about. That is something to think about. Yeah. No worries, board. No worries, mate. So, what is the line going to do with the spirits of Caliban that ward off the Caliban warp creators? Well, we'll get into that in a minute. To make him resistant to warp chaos, I say. Okay. I mean, he could be resistant to warp chaos. He could be resistant to chaos. But it's more what is in Caliban. And so, in my feeling, I actually really like in 40k lore what they did with Caliban. That it's this cursed Arthurian place with massive bunches of forests and mountains. It's basically a grim, dark fantasy setting with a load of chaos monsters running around it. I really like that. It sort of reminds me of Attack on Titan as well, with the way that all of the cities are really walled cities that need to keep these beasts out. That's pretty cool. I'm tempted to leave that just as it is, to be honest with you. It's that cool. I don't know, what do you guys think? I really like Caliban as it is. I'll be honest with you. I think Caliban's pretty cool. But why did the Emperor send him there, though? What we could do is we could have the Emperor send him to Caliban to keep that chaos in check. Because he knows that could, devolve into a new warp rift or something if it comes undone. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we put chaos artifacts all over Caliban. Are really powerful. And so the Lion goes there because the Emperor has made him to be really staunch. Loyalty is its own reward and all that stuff, right? So he sends his staunchest, most trustworthy son to Caliban. Maybe that'd be a good way of doing it. Keep the forest, keep the knights, and keep the epic monsters. It's like 40k Monster Hunter. I agree, board. I agree. Noel says, a closed gate to the warp that is leaking energy. What? That is really cool, man. I like that. A closed gate to the warp at the core of this world that is leaking energy. I like it. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay, alright. Alright. So at the moment, we've got a dormant Chaos Rift at the heart of Caliban, like Positive Geekery says, right? That is at the heart of Caliban. The Emperor knows it's there, but knows he can't go into it. He just wants to keep it under check. And Caliban as a world is chock full of Chaos artifacts. Full of them. And he needs a trustworthy son to go there and hold this world down, who's stoic and loyal and is going to be there ready and waiting for him when he gets there. Are we happy with that? Are we happy with keeping it like that? Are we happy with this version of Caliban? Poll is there, ready to go. Are we happy with this version of Caliban? So Caliban has a Chaos Rift at its heart, which is slowly weakening the world itself, right? So Caliban could always be destined to die. That'd be really cool, you know what I mean? Like, it's slowly weakening from the core outwards. But it's got so many Chaos artifacts on it that the Lion needs to go there and hold it, you know, and hold it there for what it is. Okay. I like keeping it, says Zach. Yeah, I do too. Caliban's one of my favourite worlds. Fun fact, the setting, Revenant, is actually based on Caliban. I write that in the rulebook as well. It's in the rulebook. It's based on Caliban, at least a little bit. I like that, Faust. Descent of Angels is a really good book, but it shouldn't be there. Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be right after Fulgrim. You know, it just shouldn't. Like, it shouldn't be. We've just had this amazing start to the Horus Heresy. We shouldn't have Descent of Angels there. Descent of Angels should be its own book. Its own series. That'd be amazing. I'd love that. The reason why I put Chaos Artifacts on Caliban, by the way, is so, when we have our rift later on between the Legion, right? There is a reason for that. A lot of them get corrupted by the artifacts, and maybe your word bearers get down there and start messing things up too, right? Because they want the artifacts for themselves. And maybe we can have like a chaos in your part of it there. So the traitor legions, some of them go to Caliban to get the chaos artifacts and stuff. That'd be cool. But anyway, we'll do that later on. We'll do it later on. Alright. It could do, Dave. It could do, but that's jumping the shark a little bit. I want to save the Great Rift for another time. We can't do too much with it with the first Legion, because we'll be here all night. Alright. So, closing that poll, end poll. So we have yes 95%, no 5%. Brilliant. Okay, excellent. So we're keeping Caliban at the way that we've just shown it there. Brilliant, cool. Second question, and this one is going to be controversial because I've got something I want to say, right? So, the second question, do we change what the Dark Angels were before the Lion returns to them? Okay. So, in fact, I'll get into my controversial thing in the next question. Alright? In fact, do you know what? Forget I said that question. We're going to swap these two questions around. Alright. So, our next question actually is, what is Caliban like? And what is the Lion's life like on Caliban? Okay. So we've already shown what it's like. What's the world like? What's the world of Caliban like? We've already got what its fate is and why the Lion was sent there. What's it like? Are we keeping its forests? Are we keeping its, like, really devilish, almost Britain, medieval, Dark Age Britain-like aesthetic? Are we keeping that? Or are we changing it to be a desert world? You can do that if you want. It's up to you. I'm leaning towards keeping it as it is, because I really like the way that it, you know, the forestry of Caliban. I really keep it cool. And the second thing, what was the Lion's life like on Caliban? Now, this is going to be controversial, but we need to sort this out now, nice and early, okay? Hear me out. I think that the lion should have a twin. Bum, bum, bum. Okay? I think the lion's twin should be Luther. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. The reason why is because even a chaos-empowered Luther should not be striking down Lionel Johnson. That's some weak-ass shit right there, right? That shouldn't be happening, okay? In my opinion. It just shouldn't. Even a chaos-infused Marine should not be taking down one of the best combat Primarchs. Nah, that makes no sense at all, right? What I would do with this is that I would say the Emperor, like these two are twins, and they're created that way, right? And he knows, the Emperor knows how much of an absolute shithole Caliban is. So he sends two Primarchs, the brothers. He sends a Luther and the Lion. They're not called that at this stage. To Caliban for double the chance that they're gonna, you know, conquer the world, right? Two Primarchs better than one. Thing is, though, the Lion is a warrior. Yeah? The Lion is a warrior. Luther's a psyker. He's still a warrior, but he's also a psyker. Right? So they end up in different areas of Caliban. Their pods crash land, doosh, in different areas of Caliban. So the Lion rises up the ranks of the Order, as you do, right? And Luther rises up the ranks of another empire somewhere else. You know, on Caliban. Those two nations end up going to war, and then the Lion and Luther find each other, recognize each other somehow, you know, through fighting, and they're the same size, and they look literally the same. They're like, whoa, where did you come from? I came from a pod from the sky. So did I. Oh my god, we're brothers, right? The two empires join forces, and that's what pushes back all the chaos demons and stuff, and all the beasts of the world. Because the Lion does lead a purge of all the beasts on the world. This is a more realistic way of doing that. The two main empires of Caliban combine and go out, and they get rid of all of the chaos demons for now. But Luther is always racked by nightmares of the Eye of Terror, just like Perturabo is. He's always racked by it. He's always more esoteric, and the other Dark Angels of the other warriors of the Order don't really get along with Luther because he's not a people person. Lionel Johnson is the commander. He's the guy from the front. He's fighting from the front. They all follow him. He's stoic, right? But he's not unknowable. Luther is kind of unknowable, right? He gets more noble as things go on, right? He's actually a really chill guy, and he wins the hearts and minds of a lot of people, Luther, which is why a lot of them turn to him when the betrayal happens, right? But when the Emperor comes down, he only needs one Primarch to come with him. Because more Primarchs than what he's bargained for is trouble, right? He looks at the two Primarchs and he selects Lionel Johnson. He says, you will come with me in the Great Crusade. Luther, you will stay here and forge an empire of your own for the Dark Angels to recruit from the worlds around Caliban. And from there, we go into the story of the Dark Angels, the betrayal, all that kind of stuff. And now, Luther being charged up by the warp and striking down the Lion makes sense. What do we think? What do we think? Yeah, I know, Zach. Yeah, well, Luther in this becomes a people person. Do you know what I mean? Mainly because he has to, because he's left behind, right? What do we think? Antonio, Luther should be a lost Primarch. Then if the Lion killed him, yeah, maybe. The Caliban Gate needs a warden. Dude, what a fucking good suggestion. Yes. Maybe Luther's left behind to guard the Caliban Gate and it corrupts him. The whispers start getting to him. That'd be amazing. Luther realizes his mistake and saves the lion, but it's too late to stop the lion to be wounded into a deep sleep. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Tom says, I'd rather Luther to be more of a spokesperson for the lion to help him deal with people better. That'd also be pretty cool. I like the idea of that. Yeah, that'd also be pretty cool. Boycott Warhammer says, interesting, but I'd rather nix Alfarius and Omegon to one person or make Luther the second Primarch, and it's the 11th that are forbidden from talking about. Okay, I mean, I think we're overcomplicating it if we do that. We're changing too many things. What I don't want to do with the EXILEVERSE is basically make something that's unrecognizable. You know what I mean? We're here to tweak and fix the lore, not to create entire new factions ourselves, unless we're doing the 2nd and 11th Legion. You know what I mean? Making Luther a Primarch of the 2nd kind of... it means that the Dark Angels have 2 Legions. Nah, it doesn't really work. Not for me. Not for me. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to give you guys a sneak preview of what I think we should do for the Alpha Legion, right? I think the Alpha Legion should be reported as having twin Primarchs, but they're never seen in the same place as each other. Because they're really paranoid. But really, Alfarius is paranoid schizophrenic. He's got 2 personalities. He's got Alfarius and Omegon in the same brain, in the same. He's 2 people in the same mind. Which is why the Alpha Legion is so effed up in the way that they operate. That's what I'm thinking for later on, right? But we can nip that in the bud for now. Nip that in the bud for now. All right. This is the only one where I'm having major input, by the way, because I really, really, really like this idea. But if you guys can talk me out of it, I wouldn't have done it. I'm saying no. Are we happy with Luther and Lion being twin Primarchs? So Luther is the Psycho warrior and sort of the people person, right? He's the brother, he slaps you on the back, oh, cool man, that kind of a thing. And Lion is the stoic warrior. He's the warrior dude. He's the commander, right? So Lion leads from the front. He's the guy who's there from the front. Bear in mind, if we say no, you've got to convince me of another thing to do. If we say no, you've got to convince me of another thing we need to do. Works for me if there aren't any more twins down the line. Basically take the Alpha Legion's feature for the Dark Angels. Okay. I still think he should be a Chaos Corrupted Marine. Just power up the Chaos so it can... Nah, man. Again, like all we're doing there is we're keeping it exactly the same. But... just changing it slightly. I don't like the idea of a normal Space Marine killing a Primarch. I just don't like it. It doesn't work for me. There should be power levels. And, just saying, it's Chaos. It's kind of... It's one of those wishy-washy, hand-wavy explanations that I don't like. Okay? I tell you what we could do. We could keep Luther as a Primarch, but we could make him one of the Lost Primarchs as part of this. If you want that for your own headcanon, we can do that. Okay? No problem. Doable, Brasserton, but also, again, that's a theory. The thing at the heart of Caliban was... Yeah, that's also... It kind of is true, but it's also a theory. Well, if he's one of the Lost Primarchs, you are right, he can't be on Caliban. Or maybe he can be on Caliban, and he's lost but purged because of what he does. Yeah, exactly. He'd need to be a secret demon prince or something. So my idea was we have Luther as his twin, who is a Psyker, right? We could have him as one of the 2 Lost Primarchs. If you want to do him as the second Lost Primarch, that's fine. That's fine. We could have him doing that. That would be fine. But both of them can be on Caliban. I mean, there's no reason why they can't be on Caliban. You know? Ooh. Bored. Good idea. It would be cool. It'd be a cool line if Luther was the second Primarch. He always the second. He's always the second son. Ah. You've won me round. You've won me round, chat. You've won me round. Okay. You've won me round. Fair enough. Okay. You've won me round. So. What we'll do is the Lion, the first and second Legion were always meant to sort of play off of each other, right? Hammer and anvil style, yeah. Hammer and anvil style. I'll close this poll for now because we're going to change it up. So we're going to do hammer and anvil style. So the Dark Angels are the you know, the warriors, the annihilators, right? And the second Legion are more warrior priests. You know, they're more chaplain styles. They're more people who are interrogation focused, that kind of a thing. They are twins, the Lion and Luther. They are twins. The Emperor sends them both to Caliban. Yeah? To hold back the Chaos Incursion coming from the center of the planet. To keep it from making another massive warp rift across the galaxy. Because the Emperor has enough to deal with, right? They crash land, and we have our story happen just as it does. But the reason why the Second Legion is purged is because the Luther turns against the Lion and the Imperium in the end. What do we reckon? That's your guys' idea, by the way. Are we happy with Lion being first Primarch and Luther being second Primarch? There we go. Are we happy with that? You did convince me there. I was well against that idea, but yeah. So the first Legion, the Dark Angels are straight up warrior knights, right? Whereas the second Legion are more warrior monks. These are like, you know, these are literal like medieval warrior monks. And the reason why the second Legion is purged is because Luther turns against the Lion and the Imperium. We could even do a really cool thing where Rabute Gilliman knows about the Fallen. That'd be pretty cool. And that's why the Dark Angels were aided in their cover-up, because he knows, you know, what happened. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, Luther's jealousy of always being second comes into play. Maybe Luther's a better ruler, right? The main tragedy of characters is when they don't realise their own strengths. Yeah, so maybe Luther wants to be the Lion. He wants to be that guy who's inspiring, right? He wants to be that dude. But he's but Luther is a likable man. He's a scholar. He's a warrior monk, and he's an amazing ruler, which is why he's left on Caliban. Why he builds up his own empire around Caliban. That's his job, right? That'd be cool. That'd be cool. How did he purge the second? Well, we'll get into that later on. Psychers are, in my mind, they're always inferior. That's the point, Michigan. That's the point. That's the point. Maybe Luther feels the same. Right? Lion is the better warrior. Luther is the better Primarch. Brilliant, Lorderite. Yes. Yes. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah. Yeah, the Lion is the better warrior. Luther is the better Primarch. That's why the Emperor leaves him there. Maybe it's the wrong way around. Maybe when the Emperor comes down and says, I need one of you, I'm taking the Lion. Maybe in a way, he's rejecting the Lion by doing that. Because he's actually saying, the more important Primarch needs to make sure this situation here on Caliban doesn't go to shit. Because we can't have a great rift in the warp rift behind our lines as we're doing the Great Crusade. We need a trusted man to stay here. So I'm taking the Lion because he can't stay here, right? He's a better warrior. Maybe that's a subtle rejection of the Lion, but they take it in the wrong way. Just like Lorgar does, the destruction of Monarchia. Maybe the Lion is like, yes, okay, cool. I'm the chosen one. I'm going to go out there and do this. And Luther's like, what? You're taking him? Right? And Emperor, being arrogant and not very good at communicating, doesn't explain it. Yeah, man. Let's end the poll there, since nobody else seems to be voting. Alright. Seems we're happy. We are split still, but most of us are happy with the Lion being the first Primarch and Luther being the second Primarch. So we have the first and second legions, both of them land on Caliban. Okay. Alright. And the second legion becomes more of a warrior priest kind of legion. Alright. Luther took his duty as a punishment, but it was a privilege. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So then why would Big E put Magnus there then? Not put Big E, Magnus. Because Magnus is a better... Okay, Magnus is a pure Psyker. Luther isn't a pure Psyker. Luther is a warrior priest who is also a Psyker. He's basically Lorgar if Lorgar wasn't shit. If Lorgar wasn't shit, he's Lorgar. He's Lorgar with better combat abilities and he's loyal. Ish. Right? That's what we're making Luther. But the better Psyker is Magnus. Because he's a pure Psyker. You know? Compared to the rest of his brothers, Luther is still an amazing Psyker. Yeah, he's a cleric paladin, exactly. Compared to his brothers, Luther is still an amazing Psyker. He can out-Psyker anybody but Magnus. Yeah? But in a duel, Luther will probably beat Magnus. Because he's a better warrior overall. You know what I mean? He's kind of middling in power. Yeah. And if Luther is so good, why would he not place him as War Master instead of Horus? Maybe... Again... Horus is found first, so he knows the Emperor best. The Emperor doesn't see Luther after this moment. He uses Luther to hold down Caliban. But you can't make somebody who doesn't know any of his brothers, really, War Master. Because Luther meets like 3 or 4 of the other Primarchs. Maybe. You can't make that guy War Master. He doesn't know anybody. Right? Yeah. Okay, so positive geekery. I've got an answer for that. And I'll read out what you said. I still think you need the second legion to be destroyed before Caliban. Otherwise, why would Luther need to turn half the Dark Angels if he has his own legion? Maybe his legion is smaller. Maybe his legion's only like 20 to 50,000 Marines. And so like 30,000 Dark Angels need to stay behind on Caliban and they fall with him. Problem solved. Problem solved. Remember, these are Psykers. So most of the second legion are Psykers. And Psyker legions aren't very big. by and large. Bad gene seed, maybe. Yeah, Rupert. Yeah, maybe, mate. Maybe. Maybe. Alright. Let's do our next question. Do we change what the Dark Angels were before the Lion returns to them? Okay. That's much later. No, it's not later on. Yeah, yeah. Do we change what the Dark Angels were before the Lion returns to them? So the Dark Angels were like the Annihilators, weren't they? Right? Do we change them from being Space Knights? Do we change them from being Space Knights? These, like, you know, stoic Space Knight warriors with robes and stuff. Do we change them to something else? Bear in mind, I think one of the greatest strengths of the Dark Angels is that aesthetic. So, just like the Twin Primarchs idea, if you want to change them, we're going to need a very good alternative that you need to back up. Alright, I think we're all pretty much on the same wavelength here, so I'm going to put this as a poll, and we'll get it out the way, because I think we can skip this one almost. Do we change what the Dark Angels were before the Lion returns to them? Yeah, I don't think we should either. Keep the robes. I agree. I agree. Absolutely. We need to call them something other than the Dark Angels. What would you call them, Antonio? If you can come up with a cool name, I'll consider it. If you can't, you know, then we're not doing it. I think you should make more aloof, more like the Emperor's Children, and then the Lion comes in and humbles them. That'd be a cool way of doing it, yeah. That'd be cool. Dark Angels are Native Americans. Okay, explain that one. If you can. Volcano. Tom says, I don't mind them being knights, but we already have Black Templars and Grey Knights. So for that aesthetic, is it a bit redundant? No, because knights in space are cool. Simple as. Everybody should be knights in space. They're the coolest thing ever. And they're all different kinds of knights, remember. You know? The Dark Angels aren't paladins. The Dark Angels are kind of like... They're kind of like the Knights Templar. Do you know what I mean? In that they're really cynical and really secretive. Grey Knights are straight up paladins. Top and down. They are fantasy knights, the Grey Knights. Whereas the Black Templars are almost all of the bad parts of being a Templar or a Hospitaller rolled up into one. You know. Yeah, they're the Angels of Death. They're the First Legion. Yeah, we can't really change that name, I don't think. Ah, Volcano, that's cool. That's cool. Oh, Luther's Legion. Yeah, if you guys want to come up with a name for Luther's Legion, go for it. The Dark Heralds. The Dark Heralds, that'd be pretty cool. Dark Heralds. I'll tell you what. Let's do it. I'll finish this poll. So we're not changing much about the Dark Angels. Fair enough. So who was that? That was Antonio. Right, Antonio. Alright. Is Luther's Legion known as the Dark Heralds? Do we keep that name? Do we keep that name? One thing about the Dark Herald name I don't like. There's one thing about it I don't like. And that is that it's very chaos. It's very chaos. Right, we'll end that poll there. It's very close. It's very close. How about... Okay. Steel Wardens. How about Steel Wardens? As a name for the 2nd Legion. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Gate Wardens? Gate Wardens sounds cool. I like the Wardens because it evokes they're holding it. They're holding it. Do you know what I mean? They're holding this place. So we'll keep Wardens. Liberators. The thing is, Volcano, they're not liberating anything. They're not liberating anything. I've got it, 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 I've got it. Black Wardens. How's that? Black Wardens. For 2nd Legion. I think we've got to keep... I think we've got to keep Wardens. Shadow Wardens? Yeah? Wardens of the Black Gate is more of a chapter name because it's quite long. Relic Keepers? Yeah? 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 Yeah, what it says on the tin is that I would colour this Legion black. I would colour them black because they're very much, you know, chaplains, that kind of thing. You know? So Black Wardens. We can't use Dark, really, because that's Chaos, really. Dark Apostle, you know? Dark Wolves. So Black Wardens. Posey McBoatface. Relic Wardens. Oh! Hang on a minute. Alright, I'll end the poll there, but I think we found a winner. I think we found a winner. Shadow's a bit... They're not stealthy. Diabolist, they're not stealthy. Relic Wardens. How's that? Relic Wardens. They're not stealthy, man. So, you know, the Bright Angels. Night Wardens. Again, Night Lords. We've got Night Lords. Grim Wardens. Bit on the nose. Bit on the nose, that. Grim Dark Grim Wardens. Relic Wardens. Relic Wardens is literally what they do. Which I like about the name. I like that about the name. The Relic Wardens is literally what they do. They guard relics. And Caliban is one big relic. It's one big Chaos relic. Wardens of the Truth. Again, very good name, but it's more of a chapter name, if you know what I mean. Wardens of the Vault. Again, yeah. It's a very good name, but it's a chapter-style name. Like, legions are either one word or two words, really. You know, Thousand Suns, Space Wolves, Alpha Legion, Ultramarines. They're one word or two words. Space Wardens, well, they're not in space, are they? Ah. They're not in space, they're on Caliban. How about, Antonio, Dark Wardens is what they become, but they start off as the Relic Wardens. Have we got you with that one? We'll end with Relic Wardens. That's enough of a majority. We'll go with Relic Wardens. But they will become the Dark Wardens later. But we'll get into that a little bit later on. Alright. So, we don't change much about the Dark Angels aesthetic and what they were before the line returns to them. They've got the Hexagrammaton, they got all that stuff going on. Brilliant. Okay. When is the lion found by the Emperor compared to the other Primarchs? I am having no input on this one. I want you guys to do this one on your own. So when is the lion found by the Emperor compared to the other Primarchs? When in the order is he found? Answers in the chat. And if you're watching this on the video, maybe have a little think to yourself and put it in the comment section. Second, after Horus. Okay. Okay. Bear in mind, yeah, Horus, we discussed it last time, didn't we? Alpharius is not the first found Primarch in the EXILEVERSE. You guys decided that last time. So, yeah. Russ was second. He was second, but this is the EXILEVERSE. So he might not be. Wouldn't it make more sense for for Horus to be jealous of the lion than Russ? I don't know. We already have Lorgar second. We do have Lorgar second. He can't be second. We have Lorgar as second. He can't be second. So he's got to be third or above. Third or above. Maybe Lorgar's jealous of the lion. When is the lion found? Third, fourth, fifth, or other? Fifth, I think it should be around 4. Okay. That's a good Matthias. Yeah, maybe you can use that. Yeah, what if the lion is found and recognized, but Luther is there, he's not recognized? Adds to the jealousy. Could be. Could be. Well, Lorgar should be last. Well, how is Lorgar supposed to start the heresy? If everybody hardly knows him. You know? We'll get into that later on, by the way. Or the lion was the only one that was not sent away, so you never found that he... Oh, no, we're going right back to the start if we do that. So for my own sanity, Faust, I'm not going to go with that one. The lion fourth, that's what makes Luther jealous. Okay. Lorgar's apostles start the heresy by being good advisors to the legions they accompany. Maybe. There's a lot of ifs there. A lot of ifs there. Lorgar was found second by Horus, which we did do last time, yeah. And so the lion is jealous of Horus because Horus spends more time with their father. Oh, no, sorry, I'm reading the next one. Lorgar was found second by Horus, but Big E found the lion and Luther third in person. That's a good one, yeah. Yeah, that could be cool. Are there any allegiance swaps you're thinking of? There are. But the Dark Angels aren't one of them. Okay. We're going with third then. Third is what was decided. If we get at least 20 votes from now on, I'll just call it, you know. But third is what we decided. 39% is what we decided. So he is found third, and he is found by the Emperor, whereas Horus finds Lorgar. Alright, cool. Excellent. Hear me out, North. Luther and Lorgar fought the Lion. We'll get into that later on. Alright, so he's found third. Okay, cool. Third. Make that, no. Caliban, the same. Lion and Luther are twins. Luther leads 2nd Legion, known as Relic Keepers. Lovely. Caliban has a latent warp rift at its heart and is full of chaos artifacts. Needs 2 dependable Primarchs. Lock it down. Cool. I'm just making notes for next time so I know what we decided. Alright. Do we change how the Great Crusade plays out for the Dark Angels? Or do we like the fact that the Dark Angels are the quiet annihilators of the Astartes? So, do we have the Rangdan genocides happening still? Right? Do we have the Rangdan genocides happening still? Things like that? Or do we move away from it? Again, these questions, we've answered the big ones already. These questions should speed up from now on, really. But yeah. Yeah, all the tests, well, not tests, but me looking at these questions, I figured we would be getting a lot quicker as we got through them. Because we've answered the big ones now. You know? Keep it, keep it, keep it. Yes, keep the Rangdan. Okay. Do we flesh out the Rangdan? Do we flesh them out? Do we flesh out Rangdan? Do we flesh them out? Alright, okay. So we're keeping the Dark Angels as they are on the Great Crusade, with the line leading them. Right. Who are the Rangdan? And scrub clean what you know about them. We're creating an apocalyptic threat Xenos empire from the ground up. Alright? Maybe, Lord Alright, we can do a bit of both. Is that we know how powerful the Rangdan were, but we don't know much more about them because just like the people of Carthage, right? They're wiped out utterly by the Dark Angels. Yeah, exactly, Board. Yeah, we'll do both. We'll get them out there, but we'll keep a bit of mystery because, you know, they're wiped out by the Dark Angels. I want to say the Dark Angels will lose like half of their legions, these dudes, so they've got to be really powerful, you know? A mirror of the traitor legions, but Xenos. How do you mean a mirror? How do you mean a mirror? Let's go away from the Xenocides. Well, Faust, I value your opinion, mate, but we've had, like, I think you're the 1% here, my friend. And then everybody else wants to do them. So I think that's where we're going. A small empire, but with Dark Age tech. Okay. Maybe Eldritch or Cthulhu-like. Oh, I like the sound of that. I like the sound of that. Let me know when you guys want me to do my idea, because I've got one. They are highly advanced bioengineers like Skaven. I like that. Luther is killed by the Rangdan and it breaks the lion. It's an interesting idea. But then what do we do? That leaves us with a huge headache for the fall of half the Dark Angels Legion, you know what I mean? Different species or cultures, each resembling an aspect of chaos like the traitor legions do later. I like that one. I like that one. Rangdan are cyborg, says Volcano, with the same powers as the aliens from Edge of Tomorrow. Ooh. Alright. Do you want to hear my idea? My idea combines a lot of what you've said. Okay. By the way, as a dungeon master, this is how hard you need to think on your feet, right? You gave me all those ideas, and I'm going to meld them up. The Rangdan are led by an emperor-like figure who is a corrupted Chaos Old One. One of the Old Ones who's corrupted by Chaos. He is a eldritch, Lovecraftian threat who is able to bend and break reality almost at will. The Emperor is there with the Lion, fighting against this huge empire known as the Rangdan, whilst everybody else... The galaxy is a huge place, so he says, everybody else carry on with the Great Crusade, me and the Lion are going to sort this shit out. Because the Lion finds this empire, and the Emperor goes, whoa, I don't like the feeling of that. Goes over and they go and fight this thing. Right? And over centuries, the Lion loses half of his legion to these people. They are so advanced. These aliens are so advanced in the way that they work, in the way that they look, right? We can have them looking however we want. I'm thinking more of an amalgamation of machine and organic, you know? With really sharp limbs. And some of them are even able to, like, you know, use chrono magic to, like, make people age inside of their armor and shit like that. That kind of thing. You know? And the actual last fight ends with the Emperor actually slaying this Old One, whilst the Lion annihilates the rest of the Rangdan, right? But he loses half of his legion doing so. What do you guys reckon? What do you guys reckon on that one? The Old Ones cannot be corrupted, I thought. Meh, it's the EXILEVERSE. We do what we want. So the Hrud. I don't... the Hrud do... Alright, let's take the time technology away from it. That's the Hrud stuff. If we want to. But, I quite like chrono magic. Maybe the Hrud are part of this place. You know what I mean? Maybe they're a part of the Rangdan. And they're remnants, you know what I mean? Hi, Dominic. How's it going, man? Well, Lionel Johnson himself said it's good, so yeah, we'll go with that. Well, let me. I'll do a vote first. I'll do a vote first. Are we happy with the Rangdan being a corrupted Old One, Lovecraftian horror empire? So are we happy with the Rangdan being a corrupted Old One / Lovecraftian horror empire? And these guys are way, way powerful. The reason why I think it kind of works too is that we've now got the Lion is now desperate to rebuild his numbers, right? So even more pressure is going to come on to Luther, isn't it? Because he's going to be going back to Caliban going, I need more Marines, dude. Fucking give me more Marines. Come on. Like, you know. Stop hogging them all for your own legion. You don't even need a legion, Luther. You're not out here with me doing all of this shit. You know, this can lead to a rift between the brothers. The first one, where the Lion's like, give me more men. Give me more men. And Luther's like, well, I'm fighting Chaos Spawn on Caliban, dude. What do you want me to do? It can lead to the first rift between them. The first argument. Who gets the reinforcements from Caliban first? Yeah, we can always take the old one out later on if we feel like it, but this is a complete rewrite of 40k, so anything you know, a few people have said, oh, well, that doesn't work, because so-and-so and Games Workshop have said this. I don't care what Games Workshop have said. This isn't their thing. This is our thing. We get to do what we want. If we want the old ones to be corruptible by chaos, that's what they are. And that could be how we know about the old ones. Yeah, Antonio, that's a good idea. Good idea. Well, it's 91%, so I'm going to end that poll there. I don't think it's going to swing that far. Yeah, there we go. So, yes. So the Rangdan are corrupted, old one, or... Look, yeah, maybe it doesn't declare itself. Maybe it's heavily hinted. Again, the way we write 40k lore is we hint. We're vague about stuff, right? Okay. So... Keep... DA the same, but Rangdan are led by an old one, corrupted by chaos, and are very Lovecraftian and very powerful. Good, okay. Alright, so the Horus Heresy breaks out. Here we go. Right, the Horus Heresy is broken out, folks. We are there. We are breaking out. Do we change how the heresy plays out for the Dark Angels? Should they reach Terra? If not, why not? What keeps them from Terra? Okay. Do we change how the Horus Heresy plays out for the Dark Angels? Should they reach Terra? And if not, why not? What keeps them from getting to Terra? Oh, what? Volcano. Yes, Volcano. It's an AI STC. Right, it's not an old one. It's an AI STC. Brilliant. Brilliant. More grounded. I love it. I love it. Yeah. A vast AI STC. Brilliant. That's brilliant. That's why I love doing these videos, because you always have one guy who just goes, everyone's sort of around it, you know what I mean? We're all so close to getting the perfect solution, and then somebody just goes, bang, straight in the middle, and goes, right, it's that. I'm like, yes, that's what it is. Yeah, exactly, that's what it is. Oh, board. The traitorous space wolves keep them from Terra. Ho ho ho! We might... maybe we don't keep the space wolves loyal. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see when we get there. Dreading that video, by the way. Hey, drop podcast. How's it going, man? Maybe Lord Right. We'll get into that a bit later on. So, Chaos spawn over on Caliban. Yeah, that could be a thing. We could do that. So, the Luther is getting really bitter because the Lion isn't sending him any reinforcements. Right? Yeah. Night Lords keep them from Terra. Those guys need a win. I am all for that, by the way. I'm all for that. Curse versus Lion. Discuss. I really want to keep that scene. Do you know what I mean? I really want to keep that scene of Curse fighting the Lion. Do you know what I mean? Russ the Traitor, I don't really like the Space Wolves, but Russ, Traitor, really? Yeah, I know, man, I'm taking the piss. We probably won't do it. Even when I said it, I was like, nah, he's a loyalist. He's a loyalist. You know, we'll get there, though. We'll get to him in a few weeks. Lion wins, but wounded. Okay, here's what we'll do. Here's what we'll do. Keep Shadow Crusade. Night Lords ambush weakened. Dark Angels. Okay. Are we keeping the Shadow Crusade? Do the Night Lords ambush a weakened Dark Angels Legion after they're already weakened by Rangdan? That would give the... How do I put it? That would give the Night Lords a big win, and it would actually reduce the Dark Angels down to a numbers where they could be beaten by the Relic Wardens when they go back to Caliban. Maybe they won't be beaten. We'll get there in a minute, but they're now down to about 30,000 Marines because they get an absolute pasting by the Night Lords because they just ambush them out of nowhere, and that's how the Lion finds out about the heresy. That'd be really cool. If the Lion doesn't know and the heresy starts with him, when the Night Lords just turn up out of nowhere and start beating down his Legion, you know, in a perfect cowardly ambush. You know, he loses like half the losses of the Shadow Crusade happen in a few days, like the first few days. The one thing he doesn't see coming is his brothers turning against him. And that's the one thing. He's like super amazing at figuring out people, but he's not really a people person, you know? The Lion. In fact, he's not even amazing at figuring out people. He's an amazing warrior and general, but somebody mentioned autism before. Maybe that's it, you know, something like that. He's not very good socially. He doesn't get social cues. He doesn't understand when people are setting him up as a traitor, right? Yeah, Yankee, that could be cool. Maybe the Night Lords attack the Dark Angels because they get word it's going down. Maybe the Night Lords aren't at Istvan. They're already dealing with the Dark Angels. What do you reckon? That gives us another slot for a Traitor Legion, by the way, at Istvan. So maybe we can get another Loyalist to join the Traitor side. The Dark Angel's knightly honor cannot grasp the tactics of the Night Lords who have no honor. Yeah? 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 I get that. I would say, Volcano, I would say that the traitors all know that the heresy is coming because they've all decided their side already. And so Horus sends Conrad Kurz and the Night Lords away from Istvan. So they're all on Istvan getting ready for the Retribution fleet, right? And he says, no, I need you to go and deal with the Dark Angels. Go and kill the Lion and bring me his head. And that's what Kurz does. He leaves Istvan and he goes to take on the Lion. And so before Istvan even happens, the Lion is getting decked by the Night Lords because he hasn't heard what's going on yet. He's off in some far-flung part of the galaxy, crusading away, and the Night Lords come and get him. Alright. That's good. That's good. There we go. Okay. Alright. So the Horus Heresy happens, and the Lion hasn't made it back to Terra. But the destruction of Caliban and the Fallen, how does it happen? We've already kind of shown how it's going to happen, but now we deal with specifics. Alright? For those of you on YouTube, I'm just going to pause whilst I go to the toilet, and you guys discuss between yourselves what's going to happen with Caliban breaking apart. Back. Let's look at your answers, shall we? The destruction of Caliban and the Fallen. How does it happen? How does it happen? Alright. I'd say neither side explicitly falls to chaos. They both think the other is corrupted and assume the other opened fire first. Yeah, it seems a bit contrite. For it doesn't have a lot of drama to it, does it? You know, and these are supposed to be the most disciplined soldiers in the world. How are they just going to be like, you know, ah, you're the traitor. No, you are. Oh. You know, it just... Luther and Lorgar are best buds, and Lorgar corrupts Luther after he walks through the Caliban warp portal. Good idea, Michigan Yankee. I like that one. I like that one. Luther's monks corrupt half the Dark Angel, says Board, on Caliban, and the other half are kept in the dark. Yeah, I like that. The warp gate Luther is protecting finally seeps in and corrupts the Second Legion, sowing doubt and discord. The final betrayal opens the gate, and we get a fantasy end-time scenario in space. Dude, you guys are fucking fantastic. How are you doing this? Like, you've just solved all of the component parts we've set up are now just being... This is why, in a perfect EXILEVERSE video, the end of the video should be a lot quicker than the start. Because we set up our building blocks at the start, right? And as we go through, bang, 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 it all falls into place. It's so satisfying. You should all be getting that catharsis right now. All of those pieces that we put up at the start are now slotting, bang, straight down. And now we can see what's going to happen, right? Caliban is destroyed by Luther opening the gate. Exactly. Alright, okay. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Lorgar... Right, either will decide in his own video whether he makes it to Terra or not, or whether he's kicked out by Horus. But he either leaves Terra because he sees it all going pear-shaped, or he's kicked out by Horus for trying to take over as War Master, right? He goes straight to Caliban, to his oldest friend, one of his oldest friends in Luther, right? And he starts to corrupt because he needs to get into the Eye of Terror. He needs to get away, right? Most of the traitor legions aren't going to get away. So he needs to get away as soon as he can. He wants to use the portal at the center of Caliban to get the fuck out of there. Because Caliban, in the EXILEVERSE, is kind of close to Terra. That's why the lion was found third, right? So, we get that all going on, right? Shit is hitting the fan. Over a little while, he corrupts Luther, who is already on his way to corruption at this point, and Lorgar gets to him, explains what's happened with the Horus Heresy, right? But explains it in a way where he kind of lies to him, you know. And Luther's heard rumors at this point. The galaxy's a big place, by the way, so like he won't know like everything legitimately what's going on, you know. Especially people kind of forget about him, and they do, right? So Lorgar pours poison in his ear and basically tells him a convoluted and kind of a story that paints him in a very sympathetic light, let's put it that way. And he uses Luther's jealousy against him, and they open the warp portal. And Luther is corrupted. He lets Chaos in and becomes empowered by Chaos. And Lorgar says to Chaos, hey, I found you a new War Master. Can I go now? And Chaos says, yes, demon hood for you, sir. And they make him a demon prince there and then. Maybe, Rupert. Yeah, maybe. Yes. Yes. We've done that. This is great, right? Okay. That's the first half. That's the first half. Rupert's got an amazing idea here. Right. Then, after the Siege of Terra, Lion turns up with about 20 to 30,000 Dark Angels. He turns up and he's fired upon by Luther. The same thing happens. The Lion is like, I don't have the numbers to take on the Word Bearers and the relic keepers, the relic, the relic wardens, and the corrupted dark angels. What am I going to do, right? So he leads pinpoint strikes onto Caliban, right? Near suicidal strikes onto Caliban. He ends up he gets rid of Lorgar, right? He fights Lorgar first, banishes him back to the warp, which is fine, you know. Maybe even interrupts the Lorgar's still weakened by his transformation. He banishes Lorgar, bang, gone, right? Now we have Lion versus Luther, and Luther beats the Lion because he's engorged by chaos. Lion's already weakened by his fight with Lorgar. He beats the Lion, hands down. But he can't bring himself to kill the Lion. And in doing so, he realizes what he's done and turns around and destroys the warp portal. And that shatters Caliban. It shatters Caliban like a seismic shockwave going through the center of it. And it just goes, right? It doesn't explode, it just breaks apart quietly in space. And that's the destruction of Caliban. And most of Caliban gets sucked into the warp portal as it breaks down and goes away. And Luther shields the Lion's body with his own psychic power on a rock. A massive, massive piece of rock, you know? And that is the rock. It's a fortress monastery-sized piece of rock. And that's how it ends. How do we feel? How do we feel about that? Yeah, exactly, Brastin. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. This is our chance to show a true chosen of chaos in Lorgar, reminding us that Horus was only a weapon to be wielded against the Emperor and then discarded. Exactly. Exactly. I'm kind of happy with that. I think that's a really good way to end Caliban there. So, we have Lorgar leaves heresy and corrupts Luther. Luther empowered as new War Master of Chaos, and Lorgar ascends to demonhood. Lion arrives, banishes Lorgar, but is beaten by Luther. Alrighty. Luther repents and cannot kill a lion, and instead brings down the Chaos Portal. This annihilates much of Caliban and sucks it into the warp. Luther protects Lion's dying body with his powers, saving a massive slab of rock, which becomes the Rock. Excellent. Okay. How do the Dark Angels act for the rest of the 40k universe for the next 10,000 years? How secretive are they? This should be kind of self-explanatory. Knowing what we know of the Dark Angels that we've set up here. Knowing what we know of the Dark Angels. How are they acting for the next 10,000 years? I'm the same Volcano, which is why I've tried to change it, yeah. I'm the same. But how are we doing the Dark Angels for the next 10,000 years, knowing what we know about them now? Are we still having them chase down the Fallen? Are we still having them being a super secretive Knights Templar style force? With runes and all of these other, you know, orders and things? Or are they more understandable and less severe? Brasterton says, the hunt for the Fallen isn't because of the reveal of treachery, it's because the Fallen know where those Chaos Relics are. Ooh. Maybe it could be both. Maybe it could be both. Right? Board says, Chaplains are ex-Second Legion. That's also good. Well, they're the ones who started off anyway, yeah. Yeah, that's also good. Maybe they're the only ones with Chaplain Psychers, right? Because all of the Second Legion are Psychers. So maybe they carry on that bloodline, and they're the ones who are utterly repentant. They're like, no, they should all repent, kill them all, repent, repent, right? Okay. Okay, no, I'm happy with all that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So, very secretive. Chaplains are all psychers who hide their powers in shame because they are repentant Second Legion. Lion's last order before... No, we won't do that one. We won't do that one. No, no. Okay, so that's it, that's it. How does the lion return? Here's the thing now. How does the lion return? And does he ever return? How does the lion return, and does he ever return? Brilliant, Brasterton, yes. Dark Angels green, First Legion. Ravenwing, black, Second Legion. Now Second Company. I love it, yeah. Good stuff. Many of the Second Legion who remained loyal but are ashamed join and form the Ravenwing. Does the lion come back though? The Watchers in the Dark help bring him back. Okay. If you bring him back, give him G-Man's return. The lion returns when the rock is attacked by survivors of the Rangdan. The Fallen bring him back with the help of Chaos Artifact on Caliban. The Dark King needs him to fight Imperium Secundus and Gilliman. My Dark Angel's successor chapter doesn't care he came back. Okay, cool. Cool. Maybe the more important thing is, do we keep Luther alive? How about this? Does Luther die bringing Lion back in 40k? Does Luther die? So he's been a prisoner on the rock all this time, right? Does Luther die bringing the lion back? Luther is on the rock when the lion returns. That's where we left him. Does Luther die bringing the lion back as an act of repentance? Because it kind of ties off the Fallen storyline if we're going to tie it off like 40k is done. Well, that is a redemption arc, Michigan. He dies bringing him back. I'd say that the way he acted at the end of the Heresy, yes, he is looking for redemption. Redeemed heroes are always way more interesting than just being evil. Lord Wright's very interesting there. I think it should be the other way around. Luther is so insane, he cannot tell if it's his brother anymore and goes fucking berserk. Okay. Luther pledges to hunt down Lorgar and end him permanently for manipulating him. Ooh. Oh, good idea, man. I don't know. I was all for Luther just getting his nice send-off and getting his redemption by bringing back the lion. Oh, man. But him hunting down Lorgar. But the lion can hunt down Lorgar. Do you know what I mean? I think Luther, in terms of our story, Luther's kind of served his purpose. The one thing Games Workshop are really bad at is not letting things go. They hold on to stories and arcs way past their sell-by date. You know, I honestly think Luther's served his purpose, narrative-wise. And the best thing we can do for his character is kill him off. That's me. That's just me. I'll go with your guys' recommendation, though. Whatever you guys say is best. We'll go with that. We've got... How many do we have in the poll right now? We have 18, so we've got 2 more people to vote. And then we'll decide what we're doing. I think he's served his purpose, yeah. I think he's had a really good innings. We've given him more than what the actual Games Workshop did. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, the Second Legion needs to end and be amalgamated into the Dark Angels, yes. Alright, end the poll there. We've got 20. So, Luther. The Rock is being attacked by Chaos. Right? The Rock is being attacked by Chaos. The Watchers in the Dark go and wake up Luther. They get Luther, who is kind of... He's been insane for 10,000 years. Now, all of a sudden, he is now lucid. He goes to the lion, right? Kisses him on the forehead and kind of like commits seppuku or something, you know? Transferring his life essence through the Watchers in the Dark to the lion to heal him. The lion stands up and says, "What year is it?" Right? "I'm ready to go. Give me my sword. I'm ready to go." He realizes, and why don't we have the lion and Luther mentally, as Luther enters his and uses his soul to bring him back, they have one last communion. And you know when they talk in the forest of the mind. Because that's where the lion has been all this time. They talk in the forest of the mind, and the forest burns down whilst they're talking. Because it's not needed anymore, right? The forest burns down. They embrace, their souls embrace, they shake hands. And Luther says, "I charge you, go and find Lorgar and tear his fucking heart out." The lion wakes up, sees the rock being invaded by word-bearers and Vashtor, and goes, "Bring me my sword, it's time to clap cheeks." How's that? How's that for a fucking ending? Who's not standing in the aisles at that point? Luther gives his soul to bring lion back with help of Watchers in the Dark. Asks the lion to find Lorgar and Erebus and slay them. Alright. Alright, I think we kind of know what our last question answer is. Okay. What is the current state of the Dark Angels in the EXILEVERSE in the 41st millennium? Well, going forwards into 10th edition and the era Indomitus and beyond, what are they doing? What are they doing? For me, I think it's kind of self-explanatory. The Dark Angels are raging around the Eye of Terror, waiting for Lorgar and the Word-Bearers to breach into real space. That's what they're doing. They're waiting around the Eye of Terror, waiting for Lorgar to come back. Just waiting for him. They're just ready for him. Alright? Of course, Lorgar's going to have some schemes. You know? He's not just going to be playing into the lion's trap. You know? They're not going to fall for it. But that's what I think should happen. I don't know. What do you guys think? So, Dark Angels are hunting Fallen and hunting Lorgar Word Bearers. What do you think? Dark Angels right now, in 10th edition, in the EXILEVERSE, are hunting Fallen and Word Bearers. The ultimate traitors. And why don't we even have it? After 10,000 years, the Dark Angels are the only ones who remember verbatim what happened in the heresy. They're the only ones. They have extensive records of exactly... They can see everything, right? They understand that Lorgar and Erebus are the ones behind the heresy. Everybody blames Horus, and whilst they curse Horus's name, they know he's basically just a victim of Lorgar's lies. You know what I mean? They know who the true traitors are, and they're going after them. Alright. Well, great. Okay, we'll end that there. We'll end the poll there. We've got 100%. I doubt, and yeah, I doubt people are going to go against that. So we'll go. Okay, I will now read out what we have for the Dark Angels, right? Throughout their history, what we came up with. So, all the way back to the beginning, Caliban has a latent warp rift at its heart and is full of chaos artifacts and needs 2 dependable Primarchs to lock it down. That is why the Emperor sends Luther and the Lion to Caliban. What is Caliban like? Well, Caliban is the same as it is in normal 40k, 30k. The Lion and Luther are twins. Luther leads the 2nd Legion, known as the Relic Keepers, whilst the Lion will eventually lead the Dark Angels. We do not change the Dark Angels and who they were before the Lion returns to them. The Lion and Luther were found 3rd by the Emperor. The Emperor takes Lion with him on the Great Crusade and leaves Luther as a dependable custodian and warden of the Great Rift that is on Caliban. We keep the Dark Angels the same as a legion, but the Rangdan, who they fight, are led by a vast AI STC, corrupted by chaos, and are very Lovecraftian and very, very powerful. The Dark Angels lose half of their legion in this massive war against the Rangdan. The Night Lords and the Shadow Crusade keep the Dark Angels from engaging with the Horus Heresy. The Night Lords attack the Dark Angels, whilst the Dark Angels are weakened before Eastvan 5 and the Dropsite Massacre kicks off. The Shadow Crusade takes the entire Horus Heresy to conclude. Alright. Lorgar leaves the heresy and corrupts Luther. How he leaves is up to you and your personal law. Luther, empowered as a new War Master of Chaos, and Lorgar ascends to demonhood on Caliban. The Lion arrives in orbit, desperate to rebuild his legion, and banishes Lorgar, but is beaten in combat by Luther. Luther repents and cannot kill the Lion, and instead brings down the Chaos Portal that they are fighting nearby. This annihilates much of Caliban and sucks it into the warp. Luther protects the Lion's dying body with his powers, saving a massive slab of rock, which becomes, you guessed it, the Rock. The Dark Angels in the 40k universe are very secretive. The chaplains are all psychers who hide their powers in shame because they are repentant 2nd Legion warriors, or at least the descendants of those warriors. Many of the 2nd Legion who remained loyal, but are ashamed, join and form the Raven Wing. The Lion does return. Luther gives his soul in a lucid moment to bring the Lion back and help with the help of the Watchers in the Dark. They have a final communion where Luther asks the Lion to find Lorgar, Erebus, and the rest of the Word Bearers and slay them on sight for him. With that, Luther's story is concluded as he dies to bring the Lion back. The Dark Angels are now ranging around the Eye of Terror, waiting for Lorgar and the Word Bearers to emerge. And that is the end of the Dark Angels. We did it. We finished it. We finished it, right? And the Dark Angels also are the only ones who know the true, full story of the heresy, right? True, full story of the heresy. Alright. That's where we are. That's where we are. We finished it. We've actually fixed a full Legion. Not just any Legion, the 1st Legion. Jesus. Yeah. Hikarangi, yeah, that's true. Most of the Dark Angels know about the heresy in the EXILEVERSE. And the truth of the Relic Wardens being the 2nd Lost Legion, yeah, they become the 2nd company of the Dark Angels. The Raven Wing. And the Chaplains too. Yeah. But the Chaplains hide their Psyker powers because they're just ashamed of them, you know. And the Raven Wing don't even realise they've got them for the most part. And if they do get them, then they just become Chaplains. And maybe the Chaplain on bike, you know, that model, maybe that's an exclusive to Dark Angels. That'd be cool. Chaplains on bikes. We need more of that stuff. Anyway, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for listening in. Make sure you give what you think you would have done with the Dark Angels in the comment section down below. But that is the Dark Angels finished for the EXILEVERSE. And we'll speak to you next time. Have a good one. Bye now.